back to another episode of FC Mobile Season 16 Major Mode. And today is going to be the Season 16 review. As you guys can see, time's running out. And we are going to call it there. I mean, we've had a decent season and we'll go over a lot of stuff. And then we'll get into what Season 17 might look like. But let's get started here. So first of all, we have the awards, and as you guys can't see, but I have them here. First off, Player of the Month, and like I said last episode, it was pretty much wrapped up by then. No changes to it there. An interesting shock. Unfortunately, it wasn't Jota who won the Player of the Month, but Mbappe who did win Player of the Month, which means he gets to wear the captain's armband. And I'll tell you why that's critical in a little bit also. But lucky for Jota, he didn't go away empty-handed, as he did claw back by 7 goals. 7 goals was the difference in the Golden Boot race between him and Mbappe. He did just claw it back. Looked like he was going to lose it for a little bit, but eventually turned it on in the end and got his Golden Boot award. That's the second Golden Boot in a row. One thing to note from Mbappe, that's his third Player of the Month. It's been like 8 or 9 months since he's won a Player of the Month, so obviously he hasn't been in the squad for a while, but for him to finally come back and to prove his worth, that is pretty good. Now, Playmaker Award goes back to this guy here in the 10, Zico. I mean, he was extraordinary once again, creating chances. I will say he only created 155 assists, but obviously last season he had 171. I think his lowest assists in seasonal for like seasonal assists, lowest assist tally, but it was good enough. But a lot of that's because we were working on the defense and the back line, so there was a lot of things that were going on this season. It wasn't really about the attack. The attack was just there to score goals. It was more focused on the defense. Next season, we're truly going to see these attackers in their full form and see if they're worth it and what we can do. But since we've gone through other awards, let's get into the ratings. And normally, I would start from bottom or from the strikers and work my way down to the goalkeeper. However, because this season was about defense, the tactics, changing them up, we're gonna actually go over the defensive ratings first. So, starting with Kobo himself, the man in goal. Again, subpar season. He had a couple of really good games, a couple of clutch saves, but in the end, he goes away with 6.26, which is actually a little bit lower than he had last season. He had a 6.27, but again, this season we were working through a lot of things, but I think next season will definitely be higher. Now, we're going to start off on the left with Mojica, and let's just say he was fantastic this season. I actually think he was very high. I mean, in terms of positional, he really played him as a left mid, maybe left wing back. But, I mean, to be fair, he did a lot. In terms of creating chances, his assist tally was pretty good as well. I'm trying to pull it up. He had, 53 assists. I mean, he had a pretty good assist. Yeah, 53. And last season, he had only 36, right? So, obviously, he is in corners, but, I mean, from open play, he was fantastic. And he really helped out with that creativity and creating those chances. Him and Jota, I was actually really surprised. Especially this link up between this three triangle, him, Chinua, and Jota, really were devastating. That was a really good triangle with a really good trio. But I'm gonna move on to our right back, Puyo, and the big reason why, again, a solid season for him. He actually did better than we expected. Created a lot more chances this season, and honestly defended a little bit better. A huge Had some huge performance from him. Really stepped up, but obviously the big thing, like I said, that's his last season. But like we were saying, Puyo, again, great season for him. It will be his last season, but he had a great season. Moving on to the center backs, not really the best season for them. Obviously, the changing defensive tactics every 20 matches didn't help. But now that we have a set in stone defensive tactics, I expect them to be a lot better this next season. Next season will really be the test to see how good these players are. One of them might be heading out the door. We'll see. There's a lot of things I still have to figure out, but there's a chance that if someone isn't gonna turn, it's probably gonna be him. If I'm being completely honest, so we'll see. I think it'll be very interesting to see. But moving on to the midfield, and here's why I say that, because from the fullbacks and the midfield, those 6 players, the only players who actually had improvement from last season. So in terms of their ratings, they had better. And it starts off with this guy. This guy had an incredible season. I mean, dominating. He dominated. Genuinely one of the best players this season. He didn't have as many assists, but the amount of goals he actually scored was insane compared to last season. I mean, he had 62 goals this season. Last season, I don't know. How many goals did he have? I want to see. He had 42 and 41, right? He actually, he now has over 100 goals, has 145 career goals. But yeah, I mean, that guy dominated the pitch, and we could see why. So, I mean, just incredible. 6.67. Then, moving over, you have Ruiz on the left-hand side. And he did better than we expected, I will say. I mean, he had a little bit better of a rating. He had a 6.76, which is 0.1 higher. Pretty good performance from him. In terms of his assist numbers, those are pretty... His assists are always the same, really. I mean, a little bit higher assists. Didn't reach that 100 mark for goals, but his assist tally was pretty high, so we give him credit. Again, really is there for passing, creativity. He can kind of dribble. His long shots in the end actually start to be useful to us. I think if we do have shooting at 3, he's going to have a lot more goals, but it was just about the tactics this time. Now, moving on to the other guy. This guy, I would say, was the best. In terms of, first of all, it was his rookie season, debut season. We used to have a very good servant in Bruno Fernandes in that role. And let's just say Bruno Fernandes ended with a 6.73 in that role. He ended with a 6.95, 0.22. The highest difference in terms of from last season to this season. For positional ratings, he had the highest change. His numbers are ridiculous. His numbers, 143 goals, 140 assists, 57 man of the matches. Very close to the guy playing in the number 10. So, I think he's going to be brilliant, and I really do think he's going to be a game changer. He stepped up in a lot of matches, and he's going to be here to stay. That card, definitely, if you have the money to buy him, or if you packed him, you have to use this card. I mean, especially for manager mode, you need a good center mid. He is your guy. Now, moving on to the guy in the 10, Zico. again, good performance. Managed to actually hold up a 7.0 rating, a little bit higher than he did last season. Again, I mean, in terms of creativity, wasn't there, but I think his all-around play was a little bit better. His link-up play, especially, he actually really, what would happen is Rodri would kind of win the ball up here. He'd drop a little bit around to here-ish. And he actually he was able to make a lot of passes. A lot of times what we saw is from here, he make a through ball to Mbappe or Jota, and they'd be through on goal. I mean, again, not necessarily his most productive season in terms of GA, but definitely a great season for him. Now the strikers, and like I said earlier in the video, these two, in terms of the GA, definitely a drop down. I mean, Jota had 43 more goals last season. Obviously, we didn't really work on our tactics for offensively, so we didn't really get to see how good they are. So once we nail down the perfect offensive tactics, we can really kind of figure out who's gonna be where. But I mean, again, kind of a letdown from these guys. Kind of expected a lot more. I mean, especially from Jota. Just hopefully they have a next better season from Mbappe. The reason why I did say he was gonna be, it's important that he won a Player of the Month or Golden Boot is because I did consider replacing him. I'm not gonna lie. Debated whether or not he deserves to be in the team next season, but again, I don't really feel like going through the hassle of, finding a new captain. I think he deserves the captain role. I mean, he stepped up in a lot of big games, so since he is going to be the captain, I'm not going to replace him. But going forward, he could be replaced. Now, here's what I mean. So, obviously, I said Puyol was going to leave, and the reason why is because in Trophy Titans, we can do this. This guy. I'm going for him, which means I don't know when we'll actually start season 17. The next season, I was actually going to start it from the beginning. The plan was to start it from the beginning. I still might. I don't really know, but we'll see. Like I was saying before, I mean, this guy, you look at his stats, incredible. We're gunning for him. But that does mean, obviously, we only have 155 points. So we're going to have to do a lot of work in terms of getting players to actually reach that. But ideally, he's going to be the guy to replace Puyol. In terms of playing, I don't know. Because I about have 1 billion coins, so obviously I have my watch list. And these were the players I was kind of looking at. Rudiger is one of them. Saliba is one of them. Another shot was also replacing Kobo. Again, how much effective is it? It's cheap, but is it worth it is probably the bigger question about it. Rudiger, his price is slowly going up. Actually, probably just buy one of these cards, but yeah. I mean, again, it all depends, It all depends on how the market works. So, until we get Mike on, we probably won't start season 17 again, but there's a lot of good things to look for. This team good. We figured out the defense, but the attack still needs work. But anyways, that's going to be it for season 16. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next season. Peace.